people here from Bosco. Sorry, Bosco, I should have to use your last name. I should look this up. Oh, perfect, thank you. From the University of Guelph, John Sherwood, most recently from
Dalhousie.
Dalhousie is what I was going to say. Andrew Russell from Queen's University, and Rick Smith from York University.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Bosco Sen. I'm the custody for senior analyst and custody for managed server in our on-call team, and I'm responsible for this for the campus-wide monitoring system. And in CCS, our official monitoring tool currently using is called Big Brother. So, this is just our logo. Okay, primary monitoring system is Big Brother Professional, which we have been using since 2003 or 2004. And the other one we are using MRTG for all the graphing purposes. The MRTG what we are using besides networking graph, we also use it to graph our Big Brother data. And on the networking side, we also have Sysnot NG, which will process all our networking device data. We also have a SolarWinds log and event management, which is for our PCI compliance, trying to monitor all the credit card, log transaction, etc. And in our environment, we also have a lot of appliances-specific tools like vFortlight, Sangadi, Spotlight, Tor, etc. We have a whole suite of them. However, if the application owner wants the service to be on call, they have to go through Big Brother. They have somehow has to integrate with Big Brother. Otherwise, it won't be on call. So Big Brother Professional. In the past, roughly around 2000, when I joined the university, we are implementing HP OpenView OVO, which is a very enterprise, very big implementation based on the Oracle database. And the main challenge we have with that is performance, because there's the Oracle database backend. And at that point, I remember for one time the alert will get, real-time alert will get roughly around 3 days before it even displayed on our pager at that point. So that's why we move away. We move away in 2002, and we have full production since 2004 on Big Brother Professional, which is a real-time monitoring tool out of the box. So the alert immediately send it out. There's no database backend. Everything is plain text. So it's very quick. Big Brother Professional, out of the box, they will do all the system monitoring, service monitoring, SNMP, and send out all the notification and alerts. And since then, because it's our somewhat official monitoring tool for all the campus services, we are based on Big Brother. We develop everything here. It's a long list of stuff. So we base all our compliance tests here. We base all our KPI. We pick our KPI from Big Brother. We generate report for management through Big Brother. So everything we are highly dependent on using Big Brother Professional right now. And all those things listed here, we develop in-house. So we write all the script, write all the hooks, write all the customer script. And latest add-on is roughly a year ago, we have a data mine project which create our own KPI, to distribute to our stakeholder. So we have everything is based on Big Brother. However, the bad news is Dell announced a demise of Big Brother. Once we depend on it, in March, when we renewed, they told us the bad news, sorry, Big Brother no longer available in March 2014. Okay, and they encouraged us to move to Fortlight NMS as their replacement. They said we can transfer all the license over, etc. But for like NMS is completely different than Big Brother, which we are not sure if it will meet our need. That's why I have a evaluation project currently going. Basically, our threshold is if we can replace 80% of what Big Brother currently is doing, then it's okay to move over. If not, then we have to look for other solutions. So I want to know what you guys are using, what's the best approach to this. And basically, our another requirement is consolidation of other monitoring tools. You know, on my first slide, there are quite a number of monitoring tools on one. So we try to consolidate them into one if possible. And the other requirement is the off-site monitoring requirement. Currently, we have a server, we have a VM server in Queens, which do our off-site monitoring of our service from off-campus, and also act as our inventory system, which we deposit all the system configuration over. So in the future, how are we going to do that? We are looking for partnership of other universities, etc. So I would like to hear if there's any opportunity here. And I believe that's all from me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to move up here. Now, can you hear me, or do I need the microphone? It's okay? Good. Thank you. John Sherwood, I'm formerly at Dalhousie. I'm currently the Director of Technical Services at Acorn, Nova Scotia. But this particular talk is about one of the monitoring tools that's being used at Acorn, at Canary, sorry. Last year at Canary, at CanHike 2012, there was a presentation where we introduced the NAPIS subcommittee, which is the Network and Availability Performance Monitoring Group, described our reporting, described the use of the PeopleSoft measurement tool, described data analysis, and in a moment of weakness, promised to have results for this year's conference. Let's see how we did. First of all, a recap. PeopleSoft is a measurement tool. It's a collection of tools, actually. It's not a single one. And running on a Linux platform, all open source. Some of the included tools are one-way ping service, bandwidth test controller, network diagnostic, and network path and application diagnosis. The last two are mostly for an end user. The bandwidth test controller is pretty obvious. It tests how much bandwidth is available. It also eats it up, so that it's not something you want to run all the time. The one I want to concentrate on is the one-way ping service. OAMP, the one-way availability measurement protocol, I believe it stands for, is the primary measurement tool that we're going to use for this project. It works like this. It generates pings in one direction. Normally a ping is out and back, and you measure how long it takes. This way the ping goes from here to the destination, and that's it. Now, that requires that the clocks on the two measurement stations are closely synchronized, very closely synchronized. And we'll come back to that a little bit. This tool generates, by default, 10 pings per second, so that it's quite intense. And yet, if you look at how much bandwidth it uses, it's minuscule, so that it doesn't really affect the operation of the network. The data can be used for a number of purposes, including live monitoring and for retrospective reports. So this is a made-up network, but you can see that between the various routers, there are different paths. In some cases, there are private connections, which, for example, you may think of as part of the Canary National Backbone. In some cases, they are redundant. In some cases, they're not. In some cases, the redundancy is through the commercial internet and so on. It's a complex network. What we are measuring is the performance from the end measurement stations, the E1, E2, and so on, irrespective of what path the data takes to get from one to the other. So the only thing we're interested in this project is the overall performance from one station to another. We're not interested in whether it goes over the internet or so on. It's just the performance that's important. That set of measurements, that's 600 pings per second, per minute, rather. can be displayed and can be used in a number of ways. And I'm just going to show you a couple of them. This is a live dashboard, and it gives you the various measurement stations in a matrix, and indicates by the green and red, of course, whether that particular link is in good shape or not. Let me zoom in on that, and you can see it a little more clearly, so that you see the Calgary, Halifax, Montreal, Saskatoon, Toronto, Vancouver, and Winnipeg are the measurement stations that are involved in this project, and you can see the status of each one. It's also, if you had the live URL up here, you would also be able to hover over each of those and get more detail and drill down a little bit. So it's quite an interesting tool. The red ones obviously show that there is a problem in a couple of areas. This is one area where Persona has picked up a problem. In this particular case, we're looking at data that goes from Halifax to Montreal and back. The blue is in one direction, the red is in another. May 16th, about 6 a.m., there was a fiber cut up in Quebec, somewhere around the Gaspé, I believe. Now, the normal path between Halifax and Montreal, of course, goes up through New Brunswick and across the Gaspé and down through Quebec. That fiber got cut, and that link disappeared. Our alternate route is from Halifax undersea to Boston, New York, Toronto, and into Montreal. And as you can see, the network rearranged itself relatively quickly. These dots that you see here are actually packet loss, and here's the loss percentage out here. So, you know, while the network was reconfiguring, you had about 1% packet loss, but the network did reconfigure, and you can see that the latency went from about 10 milliseconds up to about 18 milliseconds because of the longer path. Persona can pick up that sort of thing by setting proper thresholds in each of the various links. It can tell you whether the network is performing up to expectations. And in this case, we would call it degraded, so slightly below expectations, but not broken. Here's another graph. This one, I've expanded the scale, so it emphasizes what's going on here. And what you see is the path in the two directions differs by a little less than a millisecond, but it also has a sawtooth pattern. This is characteristic of the time on the two servers being slightly out of sync and doing corrections. So this is something that NTP does in certain configurations. So you're seeing time corrections happening on the two systems. If that were displayed at regular resolution or regular scaling, 0 to 30 milliseconds, those sorts of details would just disappear into the noise. Finally, here's another way to make use of the data. In this case, we're taking 600 measurements per minute from each of those 7 measurement stations, and in fact, a full mesh network of those 7 by 7 stations, and boiling it down into a single number. What we want to know is, for the national network, for the entire month of April, for all those interconnections, how good was the network? And in this case, we're seeing that it was available, it met all expectations for 99.8% of the time. Degraded for 0.03% of the time, and that was probably one of those reconfigurations that we saw, and unacceptable for about 0.2% of the time, and that would have been a couple of cases of congestion. We had some packet loss. It's very sensitive to packet loss. Out of those 600 pings, if you lose 4 in a minute out of the 600, then the network is considered to be unacceptable for the sake of this report. Okay, so that is a quick summary of the Persona tool, one of the tools within the package, and a couple of different ways of how we're using it to monitor the national network. I should also mention that the various ORANs, the various regional networks within each province, are also making use of Persona to measure within their own networks. But in this case, this is the national one. Thank you.
So I'm Judy from Queens, and I'm here because we need to do things better. We haven't had too many disasters, so we must be doing something right. But our main alert system is antiquated. Only one guy knows how it works. We have several others. We don't have a centralized record of our monitoring data. Some of our systems are monitored by that age-old system of, if it's down, somebody will call us. But our managers want some more data. Does anybody else think that Bo might look a little like Clint Eastwood? And our staff want more data. We want an easier system. We want some access. So we need to do something else. So where do we start? Our local sun guy, back in the days when you had a local sun guy, said that we have at Queens, or had, one of everything that Sun ever produced in our basement. One of the gentlemen in the room is responsible for a gang of them that did a whole lot of cleanup this year, turned a whole lot of those things off. And some of us had a whole lot of fun throwing them out. We sent out a survey. We asked people, what do you want to know? What would you like to know? Is there something telling you that now? Is there another alternative that might tell you that better, or would be a better system for us to use? We did a bit of thinking, and we thought about what we could accomplish. So, as we thought, we're pretty good at alerts. We don't really think we have a problem with that. And we know when we have a problem, but we're not really efficient. Queens has been using no-call for more than a decade. It's still our primary alert system. A lot of those other systems give us alerts, warnings. We generally know when something happens. But ask us later, when did that happen? How long was it down? We probably don't know. So we want to define some standards. We have some standards. Now we have systems that are monitored and page if they're down when we've got somebody on call. There's some systems that'll only page during business hours. There's some systems that if the on-call's gone to bed and they go down, they page a manager. But we don't really have a lot of categories defined or priorities defined. That's still kind of haphazard. We need to set those down. We want to have a place where all of our information can be found, even if that's just a list of links somewhere. And then we want to get all of our current systems in line with whatever those standards are. And then we figure we can go from there and find something new. And by then we'll be hoping that everybody else will have solved that problem and come up with what's wonderful.
Hi there, I'm Rick from York. Why am I here? Well, I'm here to tell you about what we have. I'd love to hear what other people have, because what we have is a medley of things, and these are just the things that I know about. These are the central, the central systems monitoring tools. Our primary is the Nagisa system, and that's where on-call and pager alerts come shooting out of. I guess there's some paging that comes out of the enterprise manager for the DBAs, but depending on the operating system, it was, I think this will be easier to do in Cacti, and this one looks like it'd be good in Nagios, and for the DBAs, we want to do it in enterprise manager because we paid for it, and so we have a whole bunch of things. We did also have Big Brother, but we turned that off last year after it was clinging to life. So the things we like about what we have, we think we do monitoring pretty well. We do alerting really well. And people trust those alerts. They're generally not false positives. We like our setup. It's an active standby environment, so they're monitoring one another. So the monitor that monitors the monitor. And we've enabled delegated access to systems, so you can manage your own alerts in your own systems, and nobody else can really see what those other systems are unless you have the super admin. Currently, we have just over 2,300 hosts that we monitor in Nagios, with 2,900 services. So a lot of it is ping. We don't do a lot of simulated transactions. We have a lot of services that are configured to be in an active standby or an active environment, and so we'll get alerted on a single host failure. So we don't have good measurements around services generally. We're viewing them as really single endpoints. We don't really have a good feel on, these are all the hosts that this service means. And so we know that Clapton goes down, but what does Clapton do? Well, other than the guitar. We had no idea that even went down. So we also have the phone call alerting method. All of those systems that we had are all standalone. There's no integration other than email to an endpoint. We can't really do good correlations across those monitoring systems. And that's getting more and more valuable, because when something goes down, then the Avengers assemble and we have to get in a room, get the whiteboard out and figure out what exactly failed, what did people do, get the big timeline out. And so it's really time consuming from a human resource perspective, and we're sort of looking for something that can do a lot better correlation of fails. And yeah, we don't have a very good summary dashboard that we could provide to an executive level. What you see is every host and every service, and when you've got a list of 3,000 hosts, that gets a little intimidating. So now we're looking to do something about it. Our environment is starting to turn into, we're starting to get really questioned about metrics on uptime and availability. We're pulling that data out of Nagios for the most part, but it really doesn't give a good feel on, was this system up 99.9% of the time. We know that this host failed, and we know that this host failed. We don't know if those two hosts are connected in any way. There's some institutional knowledge that these hosts are related in some way, but there's nothing codified in the monitoring system that helps us there. We don't have really good definition or agreement on what is a 24-hour system. A lot of them are 24 hours. We also do monitoring 24/7, and we page throughout the night. We also do 8 to 6, so and we charge. Yeah, we just find it very difficult. And I don't think we're going to be able to consolidate into a single monitoring system. We have so many, I would just be happy if they talk to one another. and they actually shared information. You want your system that has really specific probes for whatever you're doing, that's great. I would like that fed into some sort of, master brain that can tell me that all these services are impacted by a single host in the back. We wrote a business proposal, and I think one of the things that came out of that is, hey, you don't do monitoring to save any money. It's all about customer satisfaction. It's all about SLA. And I remember being at Canhite last year, and I recognize somebody that was at a birds of a feather, and we were saying, what are we doing with monitoring? So it's been a year, and we're still at, what are we doing with monitoring? But now we're in the place where we're trying to see what are people doing out there? Or maybe we have a great system and we just need to invest more people power into it. I don't know. I'd be really interested to hear what all you are sort of doing and how you view it and all that stuff. So, and I think that's really it for the prepared material. I'd love to open the floor to any questions, or what are people doing for monitoring? Who loves it? Who loves their monitoring system? Yeah, I saw some hands go up and then go down. Nobody loves their monitoring system. Okay.
Graydon does.
I get a lot of our monitoring systems. We have a mixed bag as well. We have Nagios. But with Nagios, I do get trend data because I write custom WMI queries for the Windows side of things. And there is the NRP extensions that you can run for Swift. And so with WMI,
Graydon, can you come to a mic or? Yeah.
I'll track things like how many VPN users we have at any given time. So I actually get a trend how many people are logging in with VPN. I get CPU load statistics, use Nagios Grapher to get a lot of our graphing data. But Nagios doesn't help us a lot when it comes to our virtual environment.
Right.
And that's where we switch over to SolarWinds.
Right.
And we use it for our trending and our monitoring as well. So. Now, for certain solutions, like say our SAN, we use our EMC, our built-in EMC tools as well. So again, it is a mixed bag. And the only complaint I have about our monitoring is I would like what you want, which is the one brain. I want to be able to put it all into one dashboard. Right. So that would probably be my only complaint.
Is anyone treating we're treating our virtual guests as physical hosts when we talk about monitoring?
Yes, we're doing the same, but we will establish hierarchies in Nagios. So, and that way we get a bit of a dependency group in there. So, and we're actually trying to use that to drive our CMDB. So the two should drive each other in some way. So when a host gets an alert, you go onto the CMDB and you immediately get your trending alerts out. So. You know that, okay, well, that's going to affect all of these other things as well.
Right.
So.
Okay, so there's a question on the live Q&A here. Has anyone used Splunk to aggregate their monitoring logs? Is anyone using that? It's pretty expensive. This will tell us who has a budget problem and not. Yeah. Oh, I don't think I said that. We really like the price of Nagios, that's for sure.
For anyone who's thought of Splunk but can't afford it, take a look at Logstash. I just discovered this a few weeks ago. It's been around for a while now, but it's basically an open source log aggregator that can also do indexing, searching. It's got a web front end, it's clusterable, it's scalable.
Can you repeat that for the benefit of the people in the mic?
Logstash, it's an open source product. It's written in Ruby on Rails, but it's packaged up as basically a jar file. It's written basically for JRuby. It is a log aggregator, has about 20 or 30 different inputs and about 40 outputs that it supports. So it can pull from syslog, it can pull from tail files, it's got TCP inputs, it's got a whole bunch of different inputs. It can send output to statsd, to NoSQL databases. It's also got a built-in Elasticsearch engine, which is basically a Lucene-based search and indexing engine. It's clusterable, so the author who wrote it uses it with across about 7
cluster node and handles about a terabyte of log a day, 10,000
per second. So it's definitely scalable. So I'm just kind of grazing the surface of it right now. I'm using it to look at some Rails logs and output the response times into StatsD Graphite, but it can do so much more. So definitely worth looking at.
Oh, there you go. There's a big recommendation right there. I saw everyone do the BlackBerry Pray move there when the name Logstash came out.
Any other Splunkers?
No Splunk.
You want to, oh, we got a Splunker. You want to talk about it?
We did an evaluation for Splunk. Actually, I should specify here that I'm from security, which we have a lot of interest in logs, but maybe different interest in logs than that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it'd be really great if we could like work together. But yeah, we did an evaluation for Splunk, and what we found was we couldn't import the historical data that we wanted to in order to compare it with our existing products. And that was an issue for us because we were trying to do a head-to-head comparison.
Right.
And with the events per second licensing, it made it very, very difficult to have a real sense of what's buying us.
Thank you.
What other products do we have out there? Anybody really hate their product?
How many people are looking to move from what they're doing now? Not a huge, so everybody else is happy?
Not happy enough.
Not unhappy enough?
So it doesn't hurt enough to move yet.
I mean, my question would be, what are your drivers for coming here and deciding that you want to move to a new system? I've heard some things where Rick has mentioned that they want to have a better understanding of the interconnectedness, perhaps, of some of their applications.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm hearing some ITIL or performance metrics.
Security.
Security was another mention, thank you.
There's a question behind
There
that.
is a question.
Just a comment, really. This might be obvious for a lot of people here, but for those people, I saw Big Brother on a number of slides, and I know it's been end-of-lifed. Have you looked at Hobbit as a replacement? It was an open source split when Dell or when Quest actually took over Big Brother, and most of your scripts will probably be compatible with the product called Hobbit, which is what we're using for our main networking. It's an open source. It was just a fork.
Yes,
and
we
kept open source.
Yes, we do look at that a few years back, but we decided to go with the professional version of the
With
product.
the real product.
Yeah, the real product.
Any other comments out there? Got one other. Can you?
Yes, sir.
I'll just add.
That's okay.
Well, but the mic is for the benefit of the virtual world.
I can repeat your question or anything like that.
Yeah.
Well, the question was for Judy. When you said you conducted the survey and asked folks what did they need, who were the folks that you spoke to?
Just the IT department, and as I was writing this talk, I realized that we really didn't talk to our managers, but we did talk to applications people, our PeopleSoft people, our server people, our network people, our phone network people. We talked to our communications people, the ones that talk to the university for us, because they want to be able to say things about our systems. We talked to our help desk. They want to be able to have access to what's up, what's down, what sort of things do they care about? That's.
But not what your librarians.
See, the librarians are, they have a separate world.
Easy now.
Their systems, some of them live in our building, but a lot of them they look after. We do monitors, some of theirs.
We favor the expression that they breathe different air.
Question?
I'm wondering, you mentioned a lot about paging tech people. What do you do to get the word out to the campus community, or do you?
Well, that wasn't really the focus of what I was, I'll start, but we have a notification tool that sends email messages, posts an alert on our webpage.
Just out of curiosity, we're playing with the idea, oh, sorry.
Anybody else want to take a, how do you get the word out?
Oh, well, I was going to say, we should be repeating the questions.
Oh,
yeah, my people.
So, anybody else, we're toying with the idea of abandoning pager and going to SMS notifications. Is anybody doing that out there? Yes? Yes? Oh, awesome.
And how's it working?
And we stayed away from it. We actually hand off a pager between
Yeah.
sites. And we looked at every device that we could. And one thing that we came down to was that all these devices need to be charged every night, where a pager runs for weeks or months. There was no infrastructure or charging equipment to go with the device that's handed off. It's just a pager. That ended up being the deciding factor.
Oh, okay. So you wouldn't, you don't deploy phones to staff that are on call?
We couldn't, no, the staff don't get individual phones.
Okay.
We've tried to claw back the number of cell phones that we give out, and some of them didn't want to admit to having a personal one.
Right. So what we do is we actually deploy the pager and a phone, because, they're going to have to call somebody, and who knows where they are. I mean, so we've been thinking about reducing that to a single device that they have to carry around, but we haven't really done any testing. How is it working out for you guys?
We have a phone that we pass around each team, and everyone we give a charger and a cable to everyone, so that everyone at home is charged when they're asleep. We also have a phone for each manager, so we have an escalation process through Nagios. It sends an SMS to the team. If they don't acknowledge that in Nagios after half an hour, it sends another note to that same person and our on-call operator. And then after the half hour, if that's still not acknowledged, that gets escalated to both of them again, plus the manager.
Right.
And is that working? Like,
Pretty well, yeah.
And you're firing, you're firing those SMSs through a modem rather than internet, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How about you? Yours working out?
It's working on a technical level, it's working fine. Our on-call system is a little bit complex. And we do not obligate staff to be on call
Right.
24/7, but we have 6 to midnight
Right.
business days. But on a technical level, it works flawlessly.
our on-call guys all have their own pager, and they share a phone if they don't have already a work phone assigned to them. And I think, I'm not sure if it's still the days when our on-call started, there was at least a couple of guys that were somewhere where no cell phone coverage reached, but the pager did. And unless they wanted to go out and stand in the backyard when they were on call, we gave them a pager.
Any other comments or questions, or what kind of commercial tools are people using out there? I mean, so is everybody just trying to go with a freebie? How many people are using a freebie to do their bulk of the monitoring? Okay, so Nagios for the most part, or yeah? And so commercial, how many people are doing, who's doing nothing? Okay, so
Pretty crazy. Who feels like you're doing it?
yeah, there
She feels like you're beating your head against the wall.
you go. Yeah.
Go ahead. Oh, yeah, right here. Oh, you guys should all have gray hair.
Yeah. So commercial tools, are there particular vendors that stick out that are worth evaluating? Anybody?
Anybody happy with their commercial tool?
Who has commercial tools?
Nobody seems to be
Oh,
unhappy.
there we go. We got one.
Well, I'd say that, like, I think you're very right in that there's no one tool that does everything, and that
Right.
you've got a range that you have to look at, and you've got your network people that need to know really deep network stuff, and you have systems people that need to know really deep whatever on systems. But you have to be able to monitor at a service level. That's really what your users care about.
Absolutely.
That's the hard part to do. And that means building some kind of CMDB, so then you know what your dependencies are, and that's where we're struggling with that part of it.
Yeah.
I would promote using a system that we have, which is Intermapper, which is doing a great job for alerting and monitoring. It's very cheap. It started out as open source. It started at a university, at Dartmouth University. It's now a commercial product from Dartware, but it's very affordable, and it does a lot of the alerting and monitoring you need to do, and you can put in plugins with it. It works really well with Nagios as well.
Right.
But the other part is the service monitoring. What we've started to do, looking at UBC, is looking at SCOM from Windows, where you can build in those dependencies. So when that switch over there goes down, well, then you know that your email system is not going to work very well.
Right.
Because that's what you want to know. So we've just started to do that, and I don't know how well that's going to turn out. Like, that's not underneath my department. It's another department that's working on that part of it. But that would be really interesting to see if people can make that work.
Does anyone have a monitoring department? Like a group of people that are really, that's what they do? Maybe not formalized, but you know, how many people use?
We have students.
Well, we have students. Oh my.
Not.
Something, yeah. Okay.
And you want
Appreciate
that?
that.
Yeah,
Right.
I think that's a goal.
So I'll just point out Carleton, we do have a dedicated NOC, and there are 2 network technicians that are in there on days, and then selected hours on weekends. I think they're 12 till 4, and they're using HP OpenView, at least for the network part.
How many elements, roughly how many network elements do they monitor?
Wrong department, but it's the whole campus really, as far as our 12 6509s and then associated switchgear. So thousands of elements. Yep.
Has anyone attacked with Nagios the service monitoring, like aggregating? You know, services are now so complicated. You know, it would be ideal to know that mail was slow because this disk is performing slow. And we've looked at commercial tools that apparently will do that.
Yeah, sure. That's what they tell us.
In the Nagios world, we've got a lot of Nagios users here.
Oh, we've used the VPI a bit to sort of set some thresholds, so if this many nodes are down, then service yellow.
Do you try to model the service, like in those service groups?
Yeah.
Like,
Sure.
what's
Or
Not,
go in, I don't know.
yep, okay.
that? Interesting.
Question at the back. One in the picture. Thank you.
Yeah, and I know I'm threading very thin ice here as a sponsor, so I will not mention any technology.
Here we go. We got matching shirts in the corner
What
here.
I do like to do is, we talk a lot about networking, and very much the Canary was a good example of ping technology to use some sort of a status. It's like going to your doctor and saying, well, I'm not feeling too well, so where does he start? He also picks up his toolbox and he has multiple tools, let's face it.
Mm-hmm.
What I would like to encourage everybody in the room is to look at technology where the network data could really be the source. And I appreciate that you don't want to simulate traffic or synthetic transactional infrastructure, definitely not. But the data that's on the network is actually user data. And you can learn a lot about literally copying and mirroring, as it's called, data off your core switches, and let that and find technology, and trust me, it's out there, that will do not just network kind of bandwidth up and down, but truly show you application dependencies. Technology that will tell you that here is where Exchange is touching individual components, from the end user to switches to intermediate servers to end servers to backup systems at the end. So you have a topology map of an application. And you can do that for every application, and you can feed service dashboards towards saying, if this node goes down, we'll lose connectivity, or there's nothing wrong because we got high availability. We just need to fix the backup machine or the
Right.
primary machine for that matter. So there is decent equipment and technology, commercial, I agree, out there that uses span-based technology to give you network as well as application visibility. Thank you.
Thank you.
Think of it as a service perspective versus a component perspective.
Yep, no, absolutely.
Stuff you're running here, you're looking at the components.
I know, it's
Yeah.
killing me.
The engine, not just the pieces of the engine. Sorry, I have one of those shirts.
I see. You're hiding it under the jacket. Yeah, I see.
Safety.
See, I thought we were gonna get a name of a brand right there.
Just say we're starting to be short of time here.
Right.
Okay.
Any other comments or?
Okay, then,
Okay.
I'd like to thank you, wrap it up, and you can send you on to your next sessions. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you.